back to the channel. I hope you all are doing good and preparing well for your next exam. So today we'll delve into the topic of English in India, which is an important part of the UGC NET English Literature syllabus under Unit 11. So, I intend to provide you in this lecture about the historical, cultural, and political evolution of the English in India, from its inspection during the colonial era to its current status as a global language with a uniquely Indian flavor. So, as the exam is nearing, I decided to provide you about all the key important aspects of English in India, so that you will understand about how the English language developed in India, and also it will prepare you well for your further examination. So, without much delay, let's start our video and learn something new today. Our first step will be about learning the British East India Company. So, the British East India Company arrived in India by the early 1600s, and it was struggling and nearly begging for the right to trade and to do business in India. And by the late 1700s, it established itself in India with a firmness, and it was backed by its own people, own army, and it was essentially, we can say, it was ruling the India. So, the East India Company arrived in India, and it introduced the English education to meet the administrative and trade requirements. So, the early missionary schools that began teaching in English just to promote Western knowledge and some Christian values. And this dual purpose of education was very much evident, because it created a class of clerks, middlemen, while it merely focuses on promoting the cultural dominance. So, the introduction of the English was not initially aimed at mass education, but it was aimed at creating a small and educated elite to help them to rule their business. Now we are going to focus on the Charter Act of 1813. So, the Charter Act of 1813 allocated 1 lakh annually for the promotion of the education in India, and it marked the official intervention of the British government in Indian education. And this act also emphasized and it was placed on the spreading Western knowledge and science. So this act kind of paved the way for the future educational reforms and signaled the shift from traditional Indian education system to English medium education system. Now we are going to focus on the role of the missionaries in English education. So, missionaries such as Alexander Duff was instrumental in spreading English education to propagate the Christianity. And they established schools and printing presses to introduce textbooks and literature in English. So, while their effort expanded the education, they also contributed to the cultural imperialism of the British. And that's how the role the missionaries, they shaped in the English education. Now we are going to learn how the role of our Indians helped to spread the English. So, do you ever thought that did actually Indians demand English? So, English became a tool for social mobility and modernization. It kind of provided access to Western knowledge, democracy, and the idea of liberty. So, reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy supported the English education as a means to eradicate the social evils and to promote rational thinking. So, the establishment of Hindu College in Kolkata in 1817, please note this, that the establishment of Hindu College in Kolkata was in 1817 with English as the medium of education. So, Raja Ram Mohan Roy's contribution was surely memorable, because he was a visionary reformer and he saw English education as an essential progress. And he also argued for the study of Western science and literature instead of Sanskrit and Persian. So, his advocacy led to the establishment of the several institutions to promote the English education. So now we'll be focusing one of the key aspects that is mostly asked in the literature in our literature exam, that is the role of William Bentinck and Lord Macaulay. So Macaulay's Minute was published in Macaulay's Minute happened in 1835. So first we'll learn something about William Bentinck, because Bentinck has a policy. So his policy explained that he supported English education to create an education workforce for administration. And Lord Macaulay advocated the English as the medium of instruction, while he dismissed the Indian knowledge system as shallow and superstitious. So in Macaulay's Minute, which was in 1835, here in the Macaulay Minute, we'll learn about how Lord Macaulay advocated the English as the medium of instruction. And his infamous statement that is aimed to create a class of Indians who are Indian in blood and color, but English in taste, opinion, and intellect. So, while Macaulay's policies expanded the English education, they also undermined India's indigestion traditions. So, we need to learn, or we need to remember about the Macaulay's Minute is that it happened in 1835, and here Lord Macaulay advocated English as the medium of instruction, while he dismissed the English knowledge system as shallow and superstitious. So now let's learn about Wood's Dispatch. So before knowing about the Wood's Dispatch, we must know about Lord Dalhousie and his role in English education in India. So Lord Dalhousie is remembered for his role in expanding the British Empire in India, especially through policies like the doctrine of lapse. However, his contribution to infrastructure and education in India also very much significant. So, Wood's Dispatch, which was established in 1854, we are going to learn about this. So, Lord Dalhousie is closely associated with the implementation of the Wood's Dispatch, which was often referred to as the Magna Carta of the English education in India. So this dispatch laid down the guidelines for promoting English education in India and advocating the establishment of a systematic education system at the primary, secondary and higher levels. So the establishment of universities in Kolkata, Bombay, Madras in 1857, though the implementation happened after his tenure, but the basic foundation was laid under him. So it emphasized on this Wood's Dispatch emphasized on the use of English as the medium of instruction for the higher education system, and it also supported the teacher training institution and textbooks in English. So Dalhousie saw English education as a tool to create a class of westernized Indians who could assist in administrative roles and act as a breeze between the British rulers and the Indian population. So this Wood's Dispatch is all about establishing the English education as a tool to create a class of westernized Indians who could assist in the administrative roles and act as a breeze between the British rulers and the Indian population. So, the Hunter Education Commission was appointed in 1882 by the British government to assess the progress that is made in education following the recommendation of the Wood's Dispatch of 1854, and it suggested some further reformations. So, the commission was headed by Sir William Hunter, who was a member of the Indian Civil Service, and its primary focus was in primary and secondary education, unlike the Wood's Dispatch, which emphasized on higher education. So some of the key objectives we can find about the Hunter Education Commission, that it evaluated the development of the education in India since Wood's Dispatch. It examines the state of primary and secondary education with particular attention to the needs of rural areas and the role of vernacular languages. And in primary education, it mostly emphasized on the vernacular education. And in secondary education, he recommended that the secondary education should act as a breeze between the primary and higher education. and it also focused on the higher education, and he focused on the direct funding of the higher education. While this commission also recognized the need for expanding the female education, but it more emphasized that it should primarily cater to the social and domestic roles of the women. So it suggested greater involvement of these local self-governments in managing and funding the primary education. So now we are going to learn something about the Lord Curzon's educational reforms, which was established in 1904. So Lord Curzon is known as his own administrative reforms and efforts to center power in India. So he focused on preserving and strengthening the British imperial country, including through some educational policies. So Curzon's educational reforms was established in 1904 because he introduced the Indian University Act in 1904. So this act aimed to improve the functioning of the universities and their standard of education. So some of the key measures that is taken under this act, there happened the greater government over the university. It was helped as the recognition of the universities to enhance their efficiency and accountability, and it focuses on research and higher education quality. So Curzon also here in this act criticized the earlier system for creating graduates who were unemployable and sought to align education with the needs of colonial administration. So he emphasized on English education in a more way for producing administrators and skilled personnel who would serve the British Empire. So all those reformers, they want to establish, or they want their for their own selfishness, they proposed that English should be the language of India, because they want to establish, or they want their firm establishment on India. They want to keep India in their hand. So we learned all about how this British people, they helped in establishing the English education in India. But now we are going to learn about how our own Indian, they helped to reform the English language in India. So English united leaders from diverse linguistic backgrounds, and it was used to convey some nationalistic ideas to a global audience. So Gandhi believed in vernacular education, but he also acknowledged that English for global diplomacy. So his works like in English, like Hind Swaraj, he critiqued the Western civilization and colonialism. So English transitioned from a colonial language to a unifying link language, and it became essential in education, governance, and global communication. So as we learned all about how English language in India was established and reformed, let's learn how the present state of English language in India is. So, in the post-independence era, unified leaders like Gandhi and Nehru articulated their vision for an independent India in works like Nehru's Discovery of India. Rabindranath Tagore's Gitanjali gained some international recognition. So English transformed from a colonial language to a linked language in independent India, and it also continued to serve as the medium of instruction in higher education as an official language. So English is now an associate official language, a medium of education, and a linked language in a linguistically diverse country. And it plays a crucial role in globalization, diplomacy, and cultural exchange. But here also we face some challenges like linguistic inequality persists with access to English, and it is still limited for the rural and marginalized communities only. So this is the present state of English language in India. So as we conclude our this unit of UGC NET syllabus, that is English in India, we learned about the history of English in India is a complex interplay of colonization, cultural transformation, and resistance. So, from its introduction as a tool of governance to its current status as a global lingua franca, English has significantly influenced Indians' literary, educational, and cultural landscape. So, understanding about this history is crucial for appreciating the richness of English India literature and its role in contemporary India. And I hope that as we learned about the whole English in India concept, I hope that if you have any doubt that how this English language was established, how this English language was came into our India, how it was established in India. So this is the history of English language in India, and we learned about some key names and some key acts. And that is very much important from the exam point of view. And I hope this all these things are going to help you in your further examinations. Thanks for watching you all. If you all enjoyed today's video and found it somehow helpful, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to support the channel and hit the bell icons to stay updated with all our latest content. See you all in the next video. Till then, be happy and take care of yourself.